Part 81. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 801. Chapter 801 T. Beach's request. There was silence in the hall, and the big bosses reluctantly accompanied Lilei to dine. Lilei took a small bowl and a small silver spoon and fed Xiaoling the soup one bite at a time. Everyone here realized that the woman in front of them was Master Li's treasure. No, it was more than just a treasure. It's just the eyeballs, the lifeblood. Let's take Qian Daifu just now. A big boss like that is one of the best on the road, but as long as he offends Xiaoling, Lilei will kill him with one shot in an instant, without even saying hello. They are now glad that the person who offended Xiaoling is not them. Even Wang Long was glad that he only offended Lilei and not Xiaoling, so he only lost 2 of his men and did not include himself. Don't mess with Xiaoling. This banquet taught them this truth. Lilei's goal was achieved, everyone dispersed after dinner. Xiaoling was very tired, so she followed Lilei back to the courtyard to rest. After taking a bath, she lay on the bed with her long hair spread out, but she didn't dare to close her eyes. As soon as she closed her eyes, her mind was filled with splashing blood. Seeing that she was uncomfortable, Lilei reached out and gently touched her cheek. Are you scared? I'm sorry, Xiaoling, but there are some things I have to do, and I want everyone to know that you can't be messed with. Xiaoling understands his difficulties and plans to do something in his position. Since he has taken charge of the power of the Li family, he should be responsible for the entire family. He has no way to retreat, so some cruel methods are necessary. What's more, those people are not innocent. Lilei told her, the wealthy man I killed today was in the human organ business, and he deserved his death. You don't need to feel too guilty. Although our Li family is also a gangster, we are mainly engaged in arms, casinos, etc. This type of business does not harm ordinary innocent people. Xiaoling put her arms around his waist and pressed her cheek against his chest. I'm still scared. Don't be afraid, I'm here, Lilei said. Xiaoling said softly, I'm afraid you will be killed by them. The underworld is so sinister. 3 people can die with just 1 meal. Life here is so fragile and vulnerable. She is really. I'm very afraid that something will happen to him. Lilei understood her worries and kissed her forehead. You are a strong man, nothing will happen to you, he assured her. Xiaoling forced a smile and hugged him tighter. The two spent the night embracing each other. When they woke up the next morning, Xiaoling found that Lilei was missing again. She knew that he was busy with affairs recently and had so many things going on that she couldn't get involved, so she simply got up slowly, washed and had a meal, and went for a walk in the woods near Liming Courtyard. The sun is just right and the breeze is gentle. Xiaoling walked for a while accompanied by the bodyguards, but her heart was still filled with a shadow. Yesterday's banquet was the first time she witnessed a gang gathering with her own eyes. They really killed people when they disagreed. It was a completely different world from her previous living environment, and she couldn't adapt to it for a while. Fortunately, Lilei did not force her to adapt immediately. He said, there won't be any further itinerary. You can live your life however you like, as long as you are happy. She understood that since she had chosen to be with him, she had to integrate into his world as soon as possible. No matter whether the world was dark or light, she would accompany him life and death. She was willing to do this. Thinking about it this way, it seems that the banquet yesterday was not so scary. At the other end of the grove, a young man walked towards him. He was Li Xiaoyao. He stopped in front of her, and his tone was a little stiff. Miss Ye, please come over, please. After yesterday's banquet, Li Xiaoyao's impression of Xiaoling changed. He originally thought that this person had never seen killings. A big star would embarrass the Li family, but she didn't expect her performance to be quite good, simply amazing. He admired her a little in his heart, but he didn't want to admit it. Xiaoling asked him, Mr. Li? What is he looking for me for? Li Xiaoyao was angry. You can go if I ask you to go. The old man has his own reasons. Xiaoling didn't care about his disrespectful words. Li Xiaoyao was different from Jian Deifu in that they had internal conflicts, far from a fight to the death. She understood that he was loyal to the Li family, so she would not have trouble with him. She said, "Lead the way." Li Xiaoyao took her to the old man's courtyard. The area around the courtyard is, like last time, heavily guarded by soldiers. Xiaoling walked in and saw Mr. Li sitting by a tea bench, making tea for himself. He seemed to be in much better spirits than last time. Although he was still a little senile, he was not as decadent as last time. Instead, he had faintly regained some of his demeanor when he was the head of the family. Seeing Xiaoling, he pointed to the other end of the TC and said to her, "Sit down." She sat down and asked, "I wonder what the old man wants to see me for." Probably because they dislike each other, the old man did not mince words with her and said, "I accept your proposal that day." Proposal that day? Xiaoling was stunned for a moment before she came to her senses. "We will live in peace from now on, right?" She suggested that there was no way to get along with each other like this. After all, there was a Li Lei in the middle of everyone, who kept cutting things off and causing chaos. She originally knew that the old man would accept it sooner or later, but she didn't expect to accept it so quickly. The old man said, "I heard what happened yesterday. You performed well at the banquet, and you are barely qualified to be the mistress of the Li family." Xiaoling didn't care about his reluctant statement. She knew in her heart that it was probably for this reason that the old man agreed to reconcile in advance. She was right. What happened yesterday not only made outsiders see her importance to Li Lei, but also made the old man truly realize that an era had ended and a new era had begun. There is no other way except reconciliation. Xiaoling said, "Li Lei will be very happy." The old man said, "There is one more thing." Xiaoling raised her eyebrows slightly. The old man said, "I hope you can treat Su Tang and Xiao Rui kindly." Xiaoling was startled, then sneered softly, "Old man, do you think you still have the capital to negotiate terms now?" But the old man said, "I'm not negotiating terms with you, this is a request." It was very difficult to say the last two words. In most of his life, Mr. Li had asked for help for the first time. There is no other way, the situation is stronger than the person. Nowadays, the entire Li family has become Li Lei's one-spoken party. In a sense, it is also Xiaoling's one-spoken party. If she hates Su Tang and her son and makes things difficult for them at every turn, then not only will their lives be very difficult, but their lives will not even be guaranteed. Xiaoling looked at Mr. Li deeply. "You really care about their mother and son?" Mr. Li said, "Su Tang saved Li Lei's life. We, the Li family, are grateful." Xiaoling said, "I'm sorry, I can't agree. Su Tang is still evil and deliberately trying to steal the man who belongs to her. Why should she treat him kindly?" End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 802. Chapter 802. Find another place to live. Mr. Li said in a deep voice, "Miss Ye, you still need to keep a thin line in your life." Xiaoling sneered softly, "Leave a ray of light." When Su Tang was thinking about things she shouldn't be thinking about, did she ever think of leaving a ray of light for me? For a woman, everything else is easy to talk about, except for things involving her sweetheart and children. Tolerate. After a few words, Xiaoling got up and left since the two of them couldn't talk together. After taking a few steps, she turned around and saw the old man sitting motionless by the sea of tea, looking at the scenery in the distance. The autumn wind was blowing his white hair, and his back was slightly stooped, making him look a bit bleak. Xiaoling felt a little sad in her heart, remembering that back then, he was also very high-spirited. "Is it true that you are so miserable now that you are older?" She couldn't help but ask. The old man did not look back. My fate is good. As for that little brat, it is unknown whether he can live to this age in the gang world. He lived a life of licking blood with the tip of a knife, so he was not lying. Xiaoling was angry. Bah, you can't curse your own grandson like this. What a grandson, Mr. Li smiled coldly. In the past, I always thought he was not ruthless enough, but in the end he was the most ruthless one. The teacup in the cup clenched with his old and withered fingers was more than 20 years old. The past events of a year ago were turning over in his mind. He saw how the little boy lost his mother and how he was bullied by his brother. After he adopted the child, he watched the little boy grow up day by day and could ride a horse. He can fight and shoot. Whenever a child calls him grandpa with a smile, he feels that this life is enough. But all this has now been broken. The old man coughed in the wind. Xiaoling looked at his back, hesitated for a long time, and finally said, if Sutang can keep her peace and not seduce Li Lei, I will not embarrass her or her children. But, can Sutang do it? Nearly impossible. After Xiaoling said this, she turned around and really left this time. Stepping out of the Yangzing garden, she faced the autumn wind outside and took a deep breath. The bodyguard guarding the door came up to her and escorted her towards the Liming courtyard. Along the way, there are rustling bamboo leaves, green grass, and beautiful scenery. Her originally gloomy and heavy mood after meeting the old man felt better, and she casually praised, this road is really good. The accompanying bodyguard said, this is the most beautiful road in the Li family headquarters. The old man lived in Yangzing Garden for decades, and later he placed the second young master's Lei Mingyuan nearby. The relationship between the grandfather and grandson has always been very good. As he spoke, he realized that he had made a mistake and stopped talking. Xiaoling didn't mind, and smiled bitterly, now, I'm afraid it's just embarrassing to live here. The bodyguard didn't know how to answer the question, so he lowered his head and remained silent. The two of them walked for a while, and Xiaoling asked again, are the second young master and the old master the only two people living nearby? The bodyguard said, yes, the old man likes to be close to each other. Except for his favorite second young master, no one else can live in this area. Only Miss Sutang, because she has to take care of the second young master nearby. The yard is built next to Liming courtyard. After arriving at the headquarters for so many days, Xiaoling really didn't care about where Sutang lived. Hearing what the bodyguard said, he became interested and asked, which one is it? Take me to see it. The bodyguard took her to turn in from a fork in the road, and walked along the bamboo forest for a while. The front suddenly opened up, and an exquisite courtyard was clearly visible. On the plaque in front of the door, the words Tanghua Garden were written in small seal script with elegant handwriting. There is a hint of feminine charm in it. It can be seen that the owner of the yard has great taste. Xiaoling discovered that this place is really not far from Liming courtyard. Looking east from here, you can see the west wall of Liming courtyard. The bodyguard said, there is a small road between the two courtyards. Usually when Miss Su takes young master Rui to find the second young master, she will take that shortcut. Such intimacy. This knowledge made Xiaoling feel very uncomfortable. In front of the courtyard gate, there is a little boy squatting. It is Li Rui who is playing. Seeing Xiaoling, he picked up a stone on the ground and threw it over. Bad woman. Get out of my house. Xiaoling did not dodge, watching coldly as the stone fell down a few steps away from her. The bones rolled to her feet. The courtyard door opened with a clang. Sutang was wearing a light blue embroidered shirt and stood on the steps, looking at her. Neither woman spoke. After a moment, Xiaoling turned around and walked away. When she returned to Liming courtyard, she immediately called for a servant. Is there any unused house in the headquarters? The servant said, many houses are empty. I wonder what you want to do. Xiaoling said, it's too boring to live in Liming courtyard. I plan to move somewhere. The servant was startled. Are you going to live separately from the second young master? The second young master will be unhappy. Xiaoling smiled sweetly. Who said we would live separately? I want to move with him. The servant was even more frightened. Monsieur, this liming courtyard was designated by the old man. The second young master has lived there since he was a child. Is it inappropriate to move here? It's not up to you to decide whether it's appropriate or not. Xiaoling's tone was slightly cold. Nowadays, she is becoming more and more like a superior person, and the arrogance in her bones is also clearly revealed. She has her own ideas about what she wants to do and what she should not do, and she does not allow others to comment on her. The servant had no choice but to lower his head and remain silent. Xiaoling asked her to bring the map and she lay down at the table to study it all afternoon. When Li Lei came back, he saw that her petite figure was almost buried in the table. He couldn't help but feel a little funny. What are you looking at? He took off his coat and walked to her side to watch together. Xiaoling pointed on the map with her fair and slender fingers. What do you think of this vacant house? This vacant house, Li Lei glanced at it casually. It used to be lived by my third and second uncle's godbrother's sister-in-law. After she died, the house has been vacant. The one who died in the house. Well, he died of illness. Xiaoling's eyebrows frowned slightly. Li Lei asked her, what on earth do you want to do? I want to move, Xiaoling said dully. Your place is too close to Tanghua Yuan. Li Lei was startled for a moment, then smiled. Are you jealous? You live so close, how can you still be reasonable? Xiaoling got angry when he mentioned this, and glared at him fiercely. Her eyes were watery and her cheeks were so shiny that she looked extremely cute. Li Lei smiled again and kissed her on the cheek. Okay, if you say we will move, we will move. Is it that simple? This time, Xiaoling was stunned. According to people's opinions, Li Lei was very sentimental about this yard, and his proposal to move would probably not be accepted. Li Lei said, if you are willing to move with me instead of driving Sutang away, you are giving her face. Since you want to save some dignity for her for my sake, why can't I move according to your wishes? Ah, it's almost the end of the month, and 1,000 words can be reduced to one sentence. Please vote for me. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 803. Chapter 803 The Marriage Room. Xiaoling felt warm in her heart. He always understood what she was thinking. Indeed, the best way to deal with this matter is to let Sutang take Li Rui to move, but no matter how you look at it, it means that they will be kicked out of their mother and son, which will make people lose face. It would be different if she and Li Lei moved by themselves. Even if others would discuss it, it would not be as extreme as driving Sutang away. After all, Sutang saved Li Lei's life. Even if Xiaoling doesn't want to, she can't ignore this. She loved Li Lei and didn't want Li Lei to feel guilty about that woman because of these things. No. It's not that she is kind-hearted, but the feeling of guilt may make Li Lei miss Sutang for the rest of his life. That's not what she wants to see. She wanted to dilute Sutang's shadow in his heart. Li Lei lay beside her and looked at the map for a while, then raised his head and said to her, why do you need to find a ready-made house? We can just build a new one ourselves. It's nice here. He pointed to a place surrounded by mountains and the sea. Show her the area. The scenery is beautiful, it's quiet, it's easy to defend and hard to attack, and it's safe. You'll like it? Xiaoling's curiosity was aroused by him and she also moved over to take a look. It is indeed a good place. She likes it very much and said, we can build a very big villa, with super luxurious bedrooms, a beautiful terrace, and a children's room. we can take Xiaowei to see the sea view in the future. Seeing that she was excited about her fantasy, he smiled. The wedding room. What? She didn't hear clearly. Li Lei gently tapped her nose and said in a very soft voice, when the house is built, you can get married. At this moment she understood, and her face suddenly turned red. I don't, she whispered. Bring Xiao Hui over, Li Lei said, we will have a good time together as a family. He had already planned to take her to Xiaomoyan to take over after the Li family's affairs were settled and his power was stable. Xiaowei. Xiaoling was lost in thought for a long time. The prospect of a happy life for a family of 3 made her heart beat. She said in an inaudible voice, which was regarded as agreeing to his proposal. Li Lei was satisfied and kissed her gently. He hired the designers and construction teams that the Li family usually used to build their ideal wedding house. These people were under the full command of Xiaoling. Women naturally love to build their own homes. Xiaoling was indeed very happy with the design. She discussed it with the designer every day and conducted on-site research. She never thought that one day she would be so excited to design a house. In her previous life, after Pei Xian broke their love with his own hands, Xiaoling thought that she would be depressed forever and lose all confidence in love. Fortunately, there is still Li Lei. She is familiar with the process and finalized beautiful drawings with the designer. The entire Li family was alarmed by them, and many people talked about it and congratulated them on having a nest of love. There were also people who pointed fingers at Sutang, some who sympathized, and some who advised Sutang to let go. Many people never dared to mention this topic in front of Sutang, and the address of the new house, Qinghui Garden, was also she has become taboo here. Sutang hid in his room, looking at his face in the mirror. She is obviously very beautiful, more delicate and gorgeous than that woman named Ye Xingling, but why can't Li Lei take a look at her? That woman, what's so good about her? Sutang was unwilling to give in and crushed a silk flower in his hand into fragile pieces. Li Rui cried and made a fuss in Tanghua courtyard, I don't want that bad woman. I don't want my father to move to a new home. Sutang hugged him and cried, Xiao Rui, good girl, it's that bad woman who made dad not want us. You have to remember that she and Xiao Hui are both our enemies. Li Rui nodded heavily, his eyes the light of hatred shot out from inside, I will give them a bad death. Sutang patted his head appreciatively. She went to Li Lei and said to him, Master, I know that Xiao Rui is not your biological child, and I dare not ask too much of you. But, can you let Xiao Rui move here with you? The child is innocent, I don't know regarding his own life experience, he is always crying these days, thinking that his father does not want him anymore. Li Lei looked at the woman in front of him, her elegance was like a slowly blooming flower. He thought of her loyalty and companionship over the years, and softened his voice, I understand everything you said, but Xiao Rui doesn't like Xiaoling, and he and Xiao Hui don't get along well. If we live together, everyone will be unhappy. Ah Tang, he looked into Sutang's eyes, I will always remember your kindness to me, but what did you say when you asked Xiao Rui to stay with you? Prevent old age and don't want to be alone and helpless in the future. Sutang secretly hated herself for talking too much, and her face showed clear melancholy, but Xiao Rui is not happy. Grandpa is very close here, Li Lei interrupted her, Grandpa likes Xiao Rui very much and is a good child-rearing expert. I was brought up by Grandpa back then. Don't worry about Grandpa accompanying Xiao Rui. After thinking about it, he added, Xiao Rui can also accompany Grandpa. Now, the old man is very lonely. This last sentence blocked all possibilities of Sutang's request. Just like she used the big hat of gratitude to suppress Li Lei, once the big hat of filial piety came out, she was unable to resist. She hated even more in her heart. This time, she hated Mr. Li for getting in the way. But he couldn't do it. He could only pretend to endure the grievance and said, then, take care, young master. Li Lei comforted her, if Xiaorui misses me, you can bring him to see me. Sutang nodded patiently. She watched helplessly as Xiaoling led people to construct the design blueprint. Soon after, the land preparation and foundation laying of the beautiful area began. Day by day, it is being built. She thought the progress was too fast, but Xiaoling thought it was too slow. Xiaoling often lies in front of the design drawings and counts the days on her fingers. When will it be completed? Li Lei laughed at her. You think you can build a house so quickly? It will take at least a year and a half. After I finish handling the affairs of the headquarters, we will return to the country. We should be able to live in it next time we come back. Xia Xiaoling nodded melancholy. Li Lei stabilized the family inside and outside at an alarming speed. Not long after, everything was back in order. Everyone who wanted to see the Li family and his jokes was severely slapped in the face. The entire underground world was horrified by Master Li's thunderous methods. They discovered that a big boss who was more difficult to deal with than Mr. Li had risen. All the underworld forces are convinced. Li Lei said to Xiaoling, we can release Grandpa. Xiaoling asked, aren't you going to put him under house arrest? Li Lei, the transfer of power has been completely completed. My people have been replaced from top to bottom, just like Titong. Even if Grandpa comes out, he won't be able to cause any trouble. After all, he is my grandpa and he should enjoy his old age. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 804. Chapter 804 Return. Xiaoling nodded. She did not go with Li Lei on the day Mr. Li was released. She guessed that there was something to be said between the grandfather and grandson, and she, a person with a foreign surname, had better not stir up trouble. Later, the servant reported that the old man beat Li Lei out with a cane. While beating him, he cursed, I don't have such a grandson. The curse was so loud that half of the Li family could hear it. The servant was very worried, fearing that the second young master would get angry and lock the old man up again. Xiaoling was relieved instead. The old man was full of energy, which was a good sign. It was better than the old and decadent look when she visited him some time ago. Only when the old man is in good spirits can Li Lei feel at ease. She stayed with him at the headquarters for a few more days. Seeing that the situation was not turbulent, she set off to return home. Returning to China this time with great fanfare, all the media were alarmed, from the entertainment industry, the business world, and even the international situation. A dark crowd of people crowded the airport pickup area, and Xiaoling's fan support group. Inside it's absolutely watertight inside and out. The security cordon at the airport was cordoned off, as if they were walking on a red carpet. However, what kind of battle has Xiaoling not seen before? She didn't even dress up deliberately. In order to make the journey comfortable, she only wore a soft plain dress, flat shoes, and sunglasses. She held Li Lei's hand, snuggled up to him with her petite body, and slowly walked into the crowd. Sight. Men are strong and handsome, while women are lazy and delicate. The perfect stage height difference between the two caused bursts of screams. A familiar reporter came to the two of them with a special permit and handed over a microphone. Mr. Li, Miss Ye, welcome back to China. Is the transfer of power in the Li family going smoothly this time? What are your plans after returning to China? Li Lei replied, the handover went very smoothly, and everyone likes Xiaoling very much. After returning to China this time, we will live as we did before. Of course, we will also have some new plans. It is not convenient to disclose them now. The reporter blessed them. Xiaoling smiled, waved in the direction of the fan support group, and greeted the fans. There was another burst of screams. After the airport pickup scene was so noisy that it nearly lifted the roof, the two got into the car. Li Lei sat down in the back seat, then loosened two buttons of his jacket and took a breath. This is so impenetrable, it's so crazy. Xiaoling smiled slightly, 2/3 are fans. 2/3 of the reporters are here for you, Li Lei said with a bit of pride. My Xiaoling is the most powerful, and I have benefited from it and enjoyed star treatment for a while. Xiaoling gently leaned her head on his chest. If my man wasn't you, they wouldn't be so crazy. Celebrities and wealthy families complement each other. No matter how perfect an actress is in her career, if her love life does not go well, she will still be seen as flawed in the eyes of many people. And she is so lucky. Not only is she the most dazzling leader in the music world, but she has also found such a shining partner in love, and she has unlimited glory. She closed her eyes with contentment as she listened to his steady and powerful heartbeat. Li Lei gently trimmed her hair and said in a very soft voice, "Go to sleep. You must be exhausted after the flight all the way. Have a good rest. I'll call you when I get home." She fell into a peaceful sleep. The day after returning to China, Lin Yunan paid a visit. He feels that he is the most miserable manager in the entire entertainment industry. There is no one. Every now and then, something happens to his artists and he doesn't say anything. He often says he is missing and then disappears. The rest of the notifications for half of the contacts are various postpone. Even if all the TV stations, sponsors, etc. lined up outside the door to cry and beg, they still couldn't get back the conscience of the Queen of Heaven. Can you do something about your career? Lin Yunan threw a pile of announcement materials in front of her. So many people are crying and begging, holding a lot of money and asking my aunt to give you a face announcement, but what about you? You won't accept anything. If you continue like this, the whole country will forget who you are. I yawned lazily. I've been really busy lately. It's about your sister, Lin Yunan exploded. You were abducted by Li Lei some time ago. I won't talk about you. Ah, what now? You've returned to China. You're still slacking off. What idiot gave you more than 100 billions? All this money should be taken back. I finally discovered that you don't want to make progress when you have money. Since the establishment of Feng Qianshang Company, classmate Xia Xiaoling has never been aggressive. Xiaoling had a headache from being scolded by him, so she muttered in a low voice, "I'm going to pick up Xiao Hui. After Xiao Hui's matter is settled, why don't I promise to come back to catch up with the announcement?" Xiao Hui, Lin Yunan was stunned, and then he remembered that he hadn't seen the child for a long time. The child didn't go to the headquarters with you. Where has he been? This question was a bit complicated to explain. Xiaoling thought about it and spoke concisely. He was picked up by the family that adopted him a few years ago. Li Lei and I are going to take him back. When it came to the children, Lin Yunan fell silent. Everyone who knows her well knows that her children are her lifeblood. What announcement? What kind of diva is popular? None of them are as important as one of Xiao Xiaohui's fingers. Since children are involved, no one can change her schedule in the short term. Lin Yunan was very sad, very sad. He cursed his mother fiercely and came out of Xiaoling's house dejectedly, ready to push away all the notices. Xiaoling called Xiaomoyan angrily, "Give me back my child." Xiaomoyan said in a calm voice, "Xiaoling, are you back from the Li family? Are you okay? Did they treat you badly?" Xiaoling was very irritable. "Xiaomoyan, please listen to me. If you don't return my child, I will burn your house down. Do you hear me?" Xiaomoyan said calmly, "My house is also your house." "I don't care," Xiaoling said, "give me Xiaohui." Xiaomo said, "Okay." Xiaoling, "Okay, okay," she was stunned for a moment, but she didn't expect him to agree so simply. Instead, she became suspicious and asked cautiously, "What tricks do you want to play again?" "No tricks," Xiaomoyan said. "Now, you have experienced many catastrophes, found your own sycamore tree, and recognized Xiao Hui's mother and son. Your fate is getting better and better. It's time for you to return to the family. The family will hold a return ceremony for you, and then you can see Xiao Hui and take him back to you. What is the ritual of returning to the family? Xiaoling asked. Xia Moyan said, after this ceremony is held, you can openly claim to be the daughter of the Xia family in front of the whole world, call me brother legitimately, and recognize your true parents. Xiaoling's heart skipped a beat. How exciting it is to be able to meet your real parents and call them mom and dad. The third update is completed tonight. Good night. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 805. Chapter 805. Yezingfei wakes up. She asked carefully, Dad and Mom, do they miss me? When things came to a close, I felt a little timid about being close to home. Xia Moyan saw her uneasiness and comforted her softly, they all love you very much. Every time I bring you pocket money when I go down the mountain, it is prepared by my father. My mother has decorated your room, and it is full of stickers about you. There are also beautiful terraces and gardens. Don't you have a cat? Mom also prepared a cat nest. Xiaoling's hanging heart relaxed a little. She lowered her head and saw the furry dumpling she had raised walking over with graceful cat steps. Its furry tail was slightly raised. She lowered her head and licked her finger. She also caressed the cat gently a few times, with a smile in her voice, I won't come back with a fur ball this time. Xia Moyan said, it's up to you. Remember to bring back that broken piece of wood, as well as your parents at Yes house. Broken wood? Xiaoling reacted for a moment before realizing that he was talking about Li Lei. Of course there is no problem in taking Li Lei back. When they were at the Li family headquarters, that guy said that he would go with her to pick up Xiao Hui from the Xia family, and he also planned to propose marriage in person, so he must bring him with him. But, the Ye family's parents. Why are you taking the Ye family's parents with you? Xiaoling was a little unhappy. I know those parents are snobbish, and you can't stand it. Xia Moyan's voice was as light as water. In fact, he also wanted to teach the Ye family's parents a good lesson, but he couldn't do it now. He said, but they are always your biological parents in this body. You are alive today because of their grace. When you hold a ceremony to return to your family, your physical parents in this life must also participate. How to participate? Xiaoling asked. Just bring the person here. Xia Moyan gave it a try. Xiaoling had a headache and muttered, are you using money again? I really don't want to deal with them. Xia Moyan said, whatever method you use. If you borrow the body of the Ye family, you must repay their kindness. In the next few days, I will set up a feng shui tactic to wake up Yezingfei. She will no longer have to be in a vegetative state. Xiaoling then remembered that she also had a younger sister who was in a vegetative state. This sister was in a car accident the year she was reborn. From then on, she lay on the hospital bed and relied on nutrient solution to maintain her vital signs. She never woke up. All in all, I have been lying down for 7 or 8 years. In the memory of the original owner of the body, the relationship between the two sisters was very good, but they talked about everything. If the sister could be rescued, it would be a great thing to repay the kindness of the original owner of the body. Xiaoling thanked her brother. Sure enough, within a few days, she received a call from Yes father, Xiaoling, Fi Fei is awake. Your sister is awake. On the phone, the middle-aged man's voice was trembling slightly with excitement. A smile appeared on Xiaoling's lips. She already knew that Yezingfei was awake these days, so she deliberately pretended to be surprised. What, Fi Fei is awake? It's great. How did she wake up? Is she feeling well? Father Ye said, I don't know what happened. I woke up suddenly, but your Aunt Lu and I were so happy. Xiaoling, Fi Fei wanted to see her sister as soon as she woke up. Please come back when you have time. Xiaoling hasn't been back to Yes house for several years. The last time they met was when she gave birth to Xiaowei at the Pei family. Father Ye and Aunt Lu brought Grandma Ye to visit relatives. That time, Aunt Lu and Xiaoling broke up on bad terms. From then on, except for Xiaoling's assistant who sent money to Ye's house every month as instructed, the two parties had no contact at all, not even a phone call. Aunt Lu jumped around among the neighbors and scolded Xiaoling for having no conscience. I was interviewed by some tabloid reporters and published a lot of negative rumors. At that time, Xiaoling was still Pei Xian's wife in name. Pei Xian sent Chu Chen to deal with the matter. After some intimidation, Aunt Lu suffered a lot and no longer dared to speak to the outside world. Of course, she scolded Xiaoling even more vigorously when she was behind closed doors in her own room. Now, Father Ye felt a little presumptuous when he made this request, and muttered, "Xiaoling, I know you don't want to go home, but Fi Fei is your biological sister anyway, so just take a look. She is now when you're in a hospital, you don't have to go into your home, really." Xiaoling doesn't want to go. Her last sister, Xiaoyuk, cheated her so much that she still has a shadow of the title sister until now. However, since he has taken over Ye Xingling's body, he has to shoulder her responsibilities, and it is also his duty to take care of Ye Xingfei. What's more, she still has to find a way to get Father Ye and Aunt Lu to go to Xia's house. She sighed silently and said, "Okay, I'll go." After asking for the address, Xiaoling asked the driver to drive her there after she hung up the phone. When I got off the bus in front of the hospital, I bought a bouquet of flowers. Wearing sunglasses and a peaked cap, she walked into the hospital inconspicuously and went to the VIP floor of the inpatient department. A spacious and long corridor spread out in front of you, and at the end of the corridor was a luxurious and heavy wooden door. Memories of the past come to mind. She remembered that the last time she stepped into this corridor, she had just been reborn and was still a young trainee in the Tianyi training camp. She was attracted by Pei Xian and tried to keep him. After she refused, Pei Xian set up a trap and ordered Father Ye and Aunt Lu to trick her into coming. The situation at that time was thrilling. If she hadn't happened to meet Li Lei, maybe she would have been captured and tortured by Pei Xian, and her fate would have turned out differently. Fortunately, she met Li Lei. Her sunshine. Xiaoling walked along the corridor, filled with emotions, and finally stopped at the door of her sister's ward. The heavy carved wooden door was ajar, and she pushed it open gently without making any sound. In the ward, Father Ye and Aunt Lu both had their backs to her, surrounding the hospital bed, and a family of 3 were talking. Aunt Liu's voice was sharp and high-pitched. "Fi Fei, you finally woke up. You don't know how hard it has been for your mother to take care of you in the past few years. Your sister who has killed 1,000 swords has not even seen you in so many years." Ye Xingfei's voice was a little weak. "Mom, thank you for your hard work, hasn't my sister come to see me?" The look of disappointment could not be concealed on his pale cheeks, and even his voice was low and low. Father Ye quickly said to the side, "Your sister actually cares about you, but she is too busy. Fi Fei, you don't know yet, Xiaoling is now a big star, a queen. She has many things to do every day, and she is too busy. No matter how busy you are, you can't do without your sister." Aunt Lu interrupted him rudely and turned to Ye Xingfei and said, "That sister of yours is just a heartless white-eyed wolf. She is not born from the same mother, she is always separated by a layer. I tell you Fi Fei, when you wake up this time, you must give your mother a good voice and become a big star to compare with that bitch." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 806. Chapter 806 Pink Princess Dress. Ye Xingfei then realized that her sister was already a big star, and she was a little lost. I think before her car accident, her sister was still so inconspicuous, she was shy and submissive when meeting people, and she could only act as a foil around her. When she went to participate in the selection of trainees, she heard two teachers say, that is, Yezingfi is talented. If it were not for the purpose of creating a sister group, there would be no one of Yezingling's level. Why, is the sister who has no sense of existence actually become famous now? Her mood was a little complicated, she was happy for her sister, but also a little disappointed. If it hadn't been for the car accident that year, would she have been the one who became famous? While she was lost in thought, she heard Aunt Lu say, Fifei, that girl used to listen to you in everything. Now that you've woken up, ask her to help you and record some popular hits for you and put them on the TV station. You are so beautiful and sing well, you will definitely be more popular than her. Xiaoling stood at the door of the ward, speechless. She has a new understanding of Aunt Liu's lower limit, that is, there is no lower limit. She raised her hand and knocked on the door. The three people in front of the hospital bed turned around and saw her. Yezingfi's face showed a hint of surprise, and then she felt a little embarrassed. Sister, you are here. Aunt Lu didn't look uncomfortable at all, and greeted her with a smile. Xiaoling is here, we were just talking about you. You said that you are a big star now, and you should help your family. Sister, when Fifei gets better, recruit her to your company and become a big star. Xiaoling didn't bother to pay attention to her at all, and walked to Fifei's bedside. How is your health? It's very good, sister, she said to Xiaoling with a smile. Aunt Lu was unhappy. Yes, Yingling, I'm talking to you. Xiaoling then raised her head and glanced at her. No. No, Aunt Lu suddenly became furious. Yes, Yingling, you have no conscience. I fed you, clothed you, raised you to this big. Okay, now you are successful, your wings are strong. You are going to be ungrateful. Zhao did. Father Ye also felt embarrassed. Xiaoling has just met Fifei. Do you have any long-term plans? Don't be anxious, Xiaoling, don't take it to heart. Aunt Lu is also worried about Fifei's future. Dad, knowing that you are sensible, you will definitely arrange Fifei's future, right? There was a sneer on Xiaoling's lips. Look, these are the so-called father and mother. It had been 5 or 6 years since they had seen each other. However, since she stepped into the ward, she had not received a word of care, not even a greeting. She was asked to help their biological daughter find a good future. The world is in a hot and cold state. She said calmly, I know it in my heart. As soon as he finished speaking, smiles appeared on the faces of the family. With this promise from a big star, are you worried that Fifei won't be able to drink spicy food? I knew Xiaoling would not be ungrateful. Father Ye was very happy and reached out to pat Xiaoling on the shoulder, but Xiaoling dodged it lightly. He retracted his hand a little sarcastically. You have to take this matter to heart. Xiaoling was not in a good mood and handed the flower in her hand to Fifei. This is for you. Fifei took it. It was a bouquet of pink and white carnations, exuding a faint fragrance in the ward. She leaned close to the bouquet and smelled it. It's so beautiful, thank you, sister. But Aunt Lu said, did you buy these flowers at the entrance of the hospital? I remember that stall, which costs 5 yuan apiece. Your bouquet of flowers plus packaging fee should not exceed 100 yuan, right? She has gone to the hospital to take care of her daughter over the years. I have already had a clear idea of the various shops and prices nearby. Xiaoling asked her assistant to buy it. She didn't know how much it cost, but the price at the store in front of the hospital was about the same. She said, I bought it at the entrance of the hospital. I put down the phone and came out. I didn't have time to prepare a gift. Fifei, I will replenish it for you another day. What do you want? Fifei smiled sweetly. Sister, do you still remember that when we came home from school, we would pass by a display window with a pink dress in it. Every time we would look at it for a long time. I wonder if that store is still there? Can you buy that skirt and give it to me? In Xiaoling's memory, there is a pink princess dress. When the original owner of the body and Fi Fei were in junior high school, they would pass by a small clothing store every day after school and see a princess dress decorated with rhinestones and lace in the window. It's not expensive, only 240 yuan, but it's already a sky-high price for them who don't come from a wealthy family. The two sisters had been saving money, saving their lunch money every day, and agreed with each other to pool money together to buy the skirt and wear it in rotation. Thinking about the past, Xiaoling envied them. How rare is such a simple and deep sisterly relationship. She said softly to Fi Fei, I have bought that skirt a long time ago and put it in the closet in our room. It is brand new and I have never worn it once. I just wanted to wear it together when you wake up. After the original owner was selected into the training camp a few years ago, he scrimped and scraped together the money to buy that skirt. That silly girl always remembered the agreement she made with her sister, and looked forward to the day when a miracle would happen and her sister would wake up. Now, it's time to take out this skirt that bears witness to the deep love between sisters. Fi Fei's eyes widened in disbelief and she lost her voice. Really, her eyes were filled with tears. She certainly knows why her sister bought this skirt, and she still remembers the original agreement. At this moment, she suddenly forgave her sister for not visiting her in the ward for many years, and forgave everything. Only the original agreement between the two girls was so real and touching. Sister, she cried and threw herself into Xiaoling's arms. Xiaoling was not used to being relied on in this way. Her body stiffened for a moment before she slowly stroked her soft hair. She had the illusion that Yezhengfei had really become her close sister. Aunt Liu's words broke this illusion. Is it that new skirt in the closet? Xiaoling, how many years ago did you buy it? It was shabby or not, and it only cost 240 yuan in total. Aunt Lu found this skirt in the closet of the two sisters, and gave Yexinling a good beating, scolding her for wasting money and wasting her family. Even if she cried and explained that she bought it for Fi Fei, it was useless. Aunt Lu said with disdain, that skirt is made of acrylic, not to mention silk, not even pure cotton. It is sewn with glass beads. It looks shiny, but in fact it is not valuable at all. Fi Fei, a pretty little girl, is so poorly dressed, isn't she going to make people laugh? Xiaoling, why don't you give Fi Fei some brand name items, some LV ones, some fragrant ones, some more earrings and necklaces? Like, your sister is dressed up beautifully, so you, as a sister, have some dignity, right? Someone in the comment area is speculating when it will be finished. Don't worry, it won't be finished for at least 2 months. Even after it is finished, there will be a sequel. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 807. Chapter 807. The entertainment industry is a big dying vat. Xiaoling said, that skirt is my whole heart. That pink princess dress, although cheap and inferior, should be the only relic given to her sister by the original owner of the body. No matter how many luxuries Xiaoling gave her, they couldn't equal the love she felt for this dress. She looked at Yezhengfei, take that skirt. Yezhengfei nodded. In her memory, that skirt was not as bad as her mother said, right? She said to Xiaoling, sister, please bring that skirt to me when you are free. Xiaoling also nodded. Aunt Lu beside her became irritable and pointed her finger at her daughter's forehead. Promise, she stared at Xiaoling with wide eyes. Yexinling, you are a big star now. You live in such a luxurious villa and drive such a nice car. Che, just watch us eat bran thick vegetables. You are really worthless. Xiaoling asked, then what do you want? Aunt Lu puffed up her chest and said, my daughter is easy to bully, but I'm not easy to bully. You don't want to buy her a famous brand, right? You have to buy it for me. And gold jewelry. I'm your mother. Zhao Di, Father Ye felt very embarrassed. Lu Zayadai scolded anyone she caught, what's wrong with me? Look at the good daughter you gave birth to. Oh, my life, why is it so miserable? Even if you want to enjoy the blessings of a daughter, you can't enjoy it? She raised her voice and lowered her voice, with a fluctuating tone. Resorting to the shrew's trick of scolding the street, even without putting a few drops of eye drops in his eyes. Xiaoling has seen so many scenes in her 2 lifetimes, and is not moved at all. She pulls away and walks out. Fi Fei, your mother is too emotional. I will come see you another day. Sister, Fi Fei pulled her, don't leave. She always knew that her mother bullied her sister, but she didn't expect that after so many years, her sister has become a big star, and her mother still has this attitude. She turned around and begged her mother, Mom, you and Dad go out first, and I can have a private chat with my sister, okay? You 2 little scoundrels, what can you say privately? Ouch, my biological daughter also kicked me out. Ouch, my life is so bitter, Aunt Lu howled even more vigorously. Xiaoling's hand was held by Fi Fei and she couldn't walk away. She had to look at Aunt Lu with a cold face. If you don't shut up, believe it or not, I will find someone to teach you a lesson. Haven't you been taught enough by Chu Chen 5 years ago? Aunt Lu trembled when she heard her mention the man's name. She recalled how miserable she had been by that man, so much so that she had to shut up in front of tabloid reporters and stop speaking ill of Xiaoling. However, after he finished trembling, he screamed again, do you think I'm scared? That Chu Chen is a person under Boss Pei, do you think I don't know? You were kicked out by Boss Pei and divorced. Even if your son is not his biological son, you expect him to help you. Xiaoling smiled half-heartedly, you seem to have forgotten who my son's biological father is. Aunt Lu was stunned for a moment, and then she remembered that although Xiaowai was not Pei Xian's biological father, his biological father's background was not small. There were rumors that the man was a member of the underworld. Aunt Lu shuddered. Although she still looked dissatisfied, she remained silent. I'll count to 3 seconds, you 2 get out, Xiaoling said, hurry up. She really started counting. Aunt Lu and Father Ye looked at each other. Finally, Father Ye took Aunt Liu's hand and left the ward in embarrassment. Close the door, Xiaoling Qing shouted calmly. Father Ye quickly closed the door for her. Xiaoling then turned to look at Ye Xingfei, I'm finally clean now. Ye Xingfei looked at Xiaoling as if she were a monster. She realized that she almost no longer recognized the sister. The submissive girl in her memory no longer existed. Instead, there was a big star who was a little domineering, a little arrogant and willful. It seemed that no matter what you say or do, it's natural. Why, there are flowers on my face. Xiaoling noticed something was wrong with her expression. Ye Xingfei just woke up from a dream, quickly shook her head, and sighed, I didn't expect that the family has changed so much in the past few years since I was asleep. Sister, I have heard from my father that you have been responsible for your care these past few years. Fu, I am able to be admitted to such a good hospital and receive such good care. Thank you very much. Xiaoling was slightly startled. She didn't expect Ye's father to say this to Ye Xingfei. It seemed that he was not completely heartless. She smiled, why are you so polite between sisters and me? Having said that, she is not Ye Xingfei's biological sister after all. She is still a little uncomfortable with the sudden addition of a younger sister and doesn't know what to say. She looked at the hospital bed. She was obviously in her 20s, but she looked very thin because she had been bedridden all year round. She looked as if she was only 15 or 16 years old. Ye Xingfei was wearing a hospital gown, and her pale and thin face was inlaid with a pair of big, smart eyes. Different from Ye Xingling's body, Ye Xingfei was a real beauty. Although she was not as stunning as Xiaoyu back then, she was still walking on the street. It's also the kind with a very high return rate. No wonder he was admitted to Tianyi training camp. Now, these big eyes looked at her. Sister, you seem to be different from before. Xiaoling's heart tightened. She thought about her rebirth and nirvana. She was afraid that others would see her flaws, so she pretended to be relaxed and said, "Oh, what's the difference?" Yezingfi was a little troubled. "I can't tell, it seems, you are more beautiful and more confident than before, and you dare to contradict mom. If it were Yexingling in the past, she wouldn't dare to contradict her even if she had 100 courages." Aunt Lu said nothing, let alone driving people out carelessly. Xiaoling secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Yezingfi didn't see any big problem. She smiled naturally. "Since I was admitted to the Tianyi training camp, I have deliberately changed myself, otherwise I would not be able to debut, let alone survive in the entertainment industry. Sci-fi, the entertainment industry is a big dying vat of eccentricities, which can change a person. I have been in the entertainment industry for so long, and I have changed more or less." Yezingfi was a star chaser before her car accident. She knew all kinds of gossip in the entertainment industry and had long known that this place was not innocent. She accepted Xiaoling's explanation without any obstacles and found nothing wrong with it. Xiaoling felt relieved and silently praised her wit. Yezingfi said, "Sister, it's really hard for you. I didn't expect to become a big star so quickly." She was very envious and sighed, "If I hadn't been in a car accident back then, I should be a star now." "Why is it so easy to be a star?" Xiaoling comforted her. "Look at the many people in the Tianyi training camp. Among my contemporaries, only Lu Tao and Leng Hui are doing well, while the others are struggling in the second and third ranks." Yezingfi was depressed. "If my sister and I were at the same time, we would definitely be in the second and third tiers now." Thinking back then, she had better conditions than her sister in all aspects. Since her sister can be a queen, so can she, and maybe even better. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 808. Chapter 808 Idol God. Xiaoling only regarded her as a little girl's innocent longing and didn't take it seriously. She chatted with Fifei for a while, told her to have a good rest, then got up and left the ward, found Father Ye and Aunt Lu waiting outside the door, and told them, "You probably know that Xiaoyu has been missing for several years. Adopt him. That family plans to recognize me and hold a ceremony, and from now on I will be that family's goddaughter." Father Ye was a little afraid of his daughter who was a star, so he rubbed his hands and said, "Okay, it's good to recognize her. She has taken care of Xiaoyu for so long, and we are already a family. Xiaoling, you can do it if you want." But Aunt Lu pulled Father Ye's sleeve and said with a glare, "What's so good? I don't know where a poor relative came from." Seeing that Xiaoling is a star, he rushed to come and get married. "What do you recognize?" she said. "I'm afraid that Xiaoling will have more godfathers and godmothers, and her property will be divided in the future." Xiaoling said, "I am informing you, not discussing with you." Aunt Lu wanted to say something else. Xiaoling continued, "That family lives in the mountains and wants to invite you two to attend the family recognition ceremony. You can handle the family affairs and we will set off in 3 days." Aunt Lu screamed, "On the contrary, you stinky girl, we didn't agree to it. Why, you don't want your good biological parents, but you choose to recognize an outsider. I won't go. Your dad won't go either." 10,000 yuan, Xiaoling said. Aunt Lu suddenly became silent, her eyes glistening with greed. She couldn't help but be happy. She didn't expect that she would still have money for a trip to the mountains, and her little calculation became active. Her eyes rolled around and she deliberately looked dissatisfied. "It's only 10,000 yuan. It's too little money." How about sending me a beggar? 30,000 yuan, Xiaoling said, no more. She already knew that Aunt Lu could negotiate prices, so she had prepared 30,000 yuan. Aunt Lu was still not satisfied. I said, big star, you can't be so poor, can you, only 30,000 yuan? I think I won't go, stay at home to look after the children and play mahjong, how comfortable it is. Xiaoling smiled and said, don't you want to go? Then don't go. Anyway, they just invited you casually. It doesn't matter if you have one more guest or one less guest. I can go by myself and save 30,000 yuan. Aunt Lu became anxious when she heard this. Hey, you can't do this. Who said I won't go? Didn't you say so yourself? Xiaoling's smile was a little cold. 30,000 yuan, do you want love? Seeing that she couldn't squeeze out more money, Aunt Lu agreed angrily, okay, I'll go, but she still didn't give up. You should always dress well when going out to be a guest, so as not to embarrass the family. Me and your dad doesn't have any new clothes. Xiaoling, when do you think you'll take us to buy clothes? I'm not embarrassed. Xiaoling waved to them, turned around and left. You can wear whatever you want. Aunt Lu was left standing there stamping her feet angrily. This stinky girl was hit by a car when she went out. Father Ye persuaded her in a low voice from the side, okay, Zayadai, 30,000 yuan is not bad. It's time to replace the TV and water heater at home. Fifa I has just woken up, and she has paid for her nutrition. Aunt Lu waved her hand and pushed him, scolding angrily, what do you know? You gave birth to a good daughter. She is a queen now. She has opened such a big company. I heard that the auntie sweeping the floor is served de hongbao. What's wrong with asking her for money? 30,000 yuan is nothing to her. That's why she's sending a beggar like you away. That made Yes father not happy either. He thought about it carefully. Yes, 30,000 yuan is a lot of money for ordinary people, but what about Xiaoling? I remember reading a media report last time, saying that the diamond bracelet on her hand was worth at least 200 million. She spent hundreds of millions to buy a small jewelry for herself. In comparison, she was really stingy with her family members. This daughter, father Yes sighed, she is a little unfilial. Hearing what he said, Aunt Lu felt as if she had found an accomplice. She became excited and cursed Xiaoling. After he finished scolding, he went in to see Ye Zingfei and told her to take good care of her body and become a big star in the future, so as to gain reputation. Ye Zingfei really wanted to have a good rest. Girls of this age are always restless, let alone her who just woke up from years of drowsiness. She began to browse the internet, searching for information from the outside world in the past few years, paying special attention to the current situation of her idol. She remembered that back then, she went to the Tianyi training camp just for her idol. Searching and searching, my eyes lit up. She called Xiaoling with great excitement, sister. I'm sorry to disturb your rest so late. You know Bai Murong, right? I saw the variety show you filmed together. Ah, he is my hero. Sister, you are so lucky to be filming a show with my hero. Xiaoling had just finished taking a shower, and she was a little dazed. She was casually wrapped in a bath towel, wiping her hair while talking on the phone with her ear to the side. Bai Murong? Ah, yes, I know him. I filmed a variety show many years ago. The male season of Bizarre Adventure, right? There are also a few concerts. After searching her memory for a long time, she finally remembered that the sister was crazy about Bai Murong before the car accident. She took the original owner with her and traveled to many places to watch his concerts. She was also a fan of him. Moderator of the meeting. She couldn't help but smile, the little girl was so cute. Xiaoling herself grew up in an orphanage when she was a child. She worried about Xiaoyu's illness every day. Later, she was adopted by Pei Ziyan at the age of 12 and was groomed to become a big star. She herself had never chased stars. In her memory, the memories of sisters Yezingfi and Yesin recalling their pursuit of stars. They cried and laughed for their idols. This was amazing. It was the first time she saw this star-studded star from the perspective of a fan. Entertainment. She was a little touched in her heart, these simple children. Yezingfi was so excited that she could hardly speak. Sister, sister, can you still contact Baimurong now? Can you let me meet him? I like him so much. I want to talk to him, okay. What a shadow. My friends will be so jealous of me. Xiaoling was in a good mood and deliberately teased her, you have a celebrity sister like me, aren't you enviable enough? Yezingfi's cheeks turned red with anxiety, this is different. Murong is my male god. My male god. Okay, okay, you're handsome man, Xiaoling laughed softly, let's make an appointment with Bai Murong and see when he is free. Thank you, sister. Sister, you are the best, Yezingfi thanked her profusely. Xiaoling hung up the phone and actually called Bai Murong to tell him that her sister, who was in a vegetative state, had woken up and was his die-hard fan and wanted to see him. On the other end of the phone, Bai Murong smiled, well, you are lucky. I will record an announcement in S City in the past 2 days, and I will fly to Japan tomorrow night. You can bring her over tomorrow afternoon. Originally, I said there aren't many people drinking afternoon tea from Luoluo, including the two of you. Today is my friend's birthday, and I went out to celebrate her. There are still 2 chapters that may be posted early in the morning. Everyone, go to bed first, and read them when you wake up tomorrow morning. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 809. Chapter 809 Don't Fall in Love with Me. Yezingfi was very happy to receive Xiaoling's reply and was so excited that she couldn't sleep all night. Thinking of seeing the man she had dreamed of for so many years tomorrow, she laughed stupidly while lying on the bed, thinking about what she should wear tomorrow. Do you want to put on some makeup? Will your boyfriend like it? She called Aunt Lu in the middle of the night, Mom, find me the new pink skirt that my sister bought, buy some eyeshadow, lipstick and the like, and bring it to me tomorrow morning, please. Aunt Lu cursed after receiving the call, to the effect that she still regarded a torn skirt as a treasure, so why should she wear makeup? A waste of family money. But after all, he doted on his biological daughter and sent it to him early the next morning. Yezingfi was very happy. She put on a new dress and looked in the mirror again and again. The gorgeous and sparkling pink color made her face a little red. She was a beauty herself, and she looked very eye-catching when she dressed up. She looked at herself in the mirror and smiled with satisfaction. Xiaoling sent a driver to pick her up. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she drove to a coffee shop near the TV station on time. When the driver took her all the way in, she felt that her eyes were busy. The extremely elegantly decorated interior was filled with beautiful tables, chairs, cups, and saucers. It was like a retro European palace, which she had never seen before. Live luxuriously. Pushing open the door of the box, Xiaoling was already waiting indoors. Seeing her, she smiled and said, coming. Yezingfi nodded, sister, this place is really beautiful. Xiaoling said, Bai Murong likes to come here. He likes these luxurious and retro things. Yezingfi knew her boyfriend's style very well. Hearing this, he nodded, he has really good taste. Xiaoling is non-committal. Bai Murong's taste is definitely not that of the general public. From his exaggerated dressing style to his equally exaggerated taste in all aspects, it is a miracle that he has become so popular over the years. She asked her sister to sit down and handed her the menu, just order whatever you like. Yezingfi took it and saw Italian Beauty, Aegean Breeze and Black Pearl Fireworks written on the menu. She had no idea what it was and was at a loss for a moment. Xiaoling pointed to the picture on the side. The names of the drinks in this store are very strange. I remember you haven't drank coffee, right? And you are just in good health, so you should drink some other drinks. The scented tea in this store is good. You can take a look at the pictures and click on whatever you like. Yezingfi nodded and flipped through the pages of the menu. Every drink was beautiful, like a work of art, making it difficult for her to choose. While he was checking, the box door was pushed open. Yezingfi looked up and saw Baimurong walking in. The afternoon sun shone into the box through the gaps in the bamboo curtains, reflecting on the handsome and charming face of the male god. The real person in front of him overlapped with the idol in his memory. It was a wonderful feeling. Yezingfi just felt like she was being shaken by the sunshine. Eyes and breathing were stagnant for a moment, as if in a dream. She sat there blankly, forgetting to breathe or move. "Hi, Xiaoling." It was Baimurong who greeted him first, not to her, but to her sister. "I haven't seen you for so long, what have you been busy with recently?" Xiaoling half-jokingly said, "How can you, King Baidacian, be so busy? I didn't notice that. I was just cooperating with your time." "It's my fault for keeping the beauty waiting for so long," Baimurong said in a lazy and confused tone. He calmly sat down opposite them and then looked at Yezingfi next to Xiaoling. "Is this your sister?" Xiaoling said, "Yes, you are a fan. I have liked you for many years. You are not allowed to bully my sister." Hearing that he could see Baimurong today, Yezingfi pestered her sister to come over early before the agreed time. Otherwise, how could Xiaoling and others make sense? She's usually the last one to arrive. However, for the sake of her sister, she doesn't mind. At this time, Yezingfi looked at Baimurong and was so excited that she couldn't speak. In front of the idol, she didn't know how to place her hands and feet, and her smiling face turned crimson. You. She said hello several times before finally saying a complete sentence, "Hello." Baimurong smiled and said to Xiaoling, "Your sister is really cute." He showed the attitude a star should have towards his fans and said professionally, "Hello." Hearing her idol's response, Yezingfi became even more nervous and didn't know where to put her hands and feet. Today Baimurong is very handsome, wearing a well-tailored white satin shirt, with the collar slightly open, revealing a small piece of charming chest muscle. His hair has also been carefully taken care of. It is a modified mess, a bit unruly and unrestrained, but it brings out his own temperament and makes people unable to take their eyes away. Xiaoling sighed secretly as the girl killer. "I heard Baimurong chatting up Yezingfi in a professional manner. I heard from Xiaoling about you. Congratulations on finally waking up. How are you?" Yezingfi was very excited to be cared about by her idol and stumbled to answer his questions. She was originally a lively girl, but now she was so nervous that she couldn't say anything and relied on Baimurong to guide the conversation. Fortunately, Baimurong met a lot of fans of all kinds and knew how to talk to girls, so he didn't get cold feet. Xiaoling listened a little bored and studied the scented tea with the menu. When she studied the menu for the 10th time, she heard the two people next to her still lingering on boring and stupid questions like "What color do you like?" She finally couldn't help it anymore and asked Baimurong, "Where's Luoluo?" Baimurong said, "Luoluo has an event at the moment and will be late." After saying that, he raised his wrist and looked at his watch. "It's almost here now." Hearing the word Luoluo, Yezingfi raised her head sensitively. She had read on the internet yesterday. In the past few years, Baimurong had a rumored girlfriend, this second-tier star Luoluo. At first, many fans said that Luoluo was not worthy of Baimurong, but later, with Baimurong's deliberate protection, they all changed their attitudes and became supportive and blessing them. But for Yezingfi, she still couldn't accept that her idol was with a not-so-great actress. In her heart, the King of Days should be matched with the same diva or something to match his status. She asked Baimurong carefully, "Are you really dating Lugo Lugo?" Baimurong blinked at her, "Guess." Yezingfi was a little uneasy, "I guess the rumors outside are all lies." "You are so kind." "Luoluo is also very good." Baimurong smiled charmingly and interrupted her without any trace, half truthfully and half falsely, "Little girl, please don't fall in love with me, I already have Luoluo." Hearing her idol admit her relationship with her own ears, Yezingfi felt like a bolt from the blue. She was afraid that her face would look wrong, so she hurriedly lowered her head to hide it, but her fingers were twisting her skirt unconsciously under the table. Over there, the box door was pushed open quietly. A cheerful and bright voice rang out, "Xiaoling Xiaoling. Murong Murong. There is another update in the morning, I am writing." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 810. Chapter 810. I also want to be a big star. Turning around, a girl wearing a pink dress appeared in everyone's sight. She has short, fluffy hair tied with a cute bow, and wears a princess dress covered with lace like Yezingfi. The difference is that this princess dress is made of very good texture, with unique tailoring and high-quality silk satin. Together, they look like a real princess. As soon as she came in, Yezingfi felt uncomfortable. Originally, Fei thought the clothes she was wearing were very beautiful, but compared with Luoluo's, they were like heaven and earth. She finally understood what Aunt Lu meant by cheap and inferior quality. In front of Luoluo, I feel so fat, my arms are so thick, my face is sweating, and I wonder if my makeup is too. She unconsciously shrank back, as if to hide herself. The other three people in the box didn't notice anything strange about her. Luoluo's whole body was focused on Baimurong, and he shouted happily, "Have you not ordered yet? Great, it seems that I am not too late. Murong Murong, give me the menu." Baimurong casually handed her the menu on the table, naturally and intimately. Luoluo was flipping through the menu. Baimurong called the waiter in and asked Xiaoling and Yezingfi, "What do you want?" Xiaoling said, "The ice clear world." The waiter took note and asked Yezingfi, "Where is this lady?" Yezingfi was just talking to Baimurong, so why didn't she pay attention to the menu? When asked about it at this time, I was at a loss for words, so I had to say, "I am the same as my sister." "Do you also want an icy world?" the waiter wrote down again. Baimurong looked at them and smiled, "You are indeed sisters, you both like drinking lemonade so much." Yezingfi then realized that the icy world here was lemonade. She was 15 or 16 years old when she was in a car accident and fell into coma, and she still had the taste of a child. She didn't like such bland food at first, but after ordering everything, and with the menu in Luoluo's hands, she didn't have the courage to change anything else, so she just went to Baimurong smiled. Xiaoling said, "What's wrong with lemonade? It can protect your throat." "Murong, it's okay if you don't pay attention to protecting yourself. Do you know that who always takes Luoluo to drink coffee and drinks, will easily shorten his career as a singer?" Baimurong shrugged indifferently, "How many years can it be shortened? I will have retired long ago." Xiaoling said, "What about Luoluo?" "Murong and I will retire together." Luoluo looked up from the menu on the side and answered quickly. He glanced at Baimurong with a bright smile and said to Xiaoling, "Murong said he will support me." Xiaoling was also impressed by this pair and stopped talking. Luoluo pointed to a picture on the menu and said, "I want the fire and ice rose." Then he pointed to another picture and said, "Give Murong a cup of dragon bone, Murong's favorite drink." Baimurong rubbed her short hair lovingly. Xiaoling couldn't stand it anymore. "Don't you know that showing affection will lead to death quickly?" "Baimurong, it's as if you and the person in your family are not good at each other. Xiaoling. Bai Murong said proudly, Luoluo understands me and knows that I hate drinking lemonade. You people who drink lemonade are heretics. The speaker was careless, but Ye Xingfei became nervous. What, did she accidentally order the drink that her idol hated the most? What to do? It's true, sister, why didn't you remind her? Her mind was in a mess, with random thoughts, and she looked at Luoluo with envy. She was just a second-tier star, but she was so lucky to be able to laugh and act coquettishly by Bai Murong's side. Not long after, the drinks were brought to the table by the waiter. A few people chatted while drinking drinks. Luoluo is a very lively person, and there will be no silence when she is around. However, she is also too enthusiastic and brings the topic from beginning to end. Ever since entering the box, Ye Xingfei has been talking about it. He couldn't even have a good chat with Bai Murong. After chatting for a while, Bai Murong raised her wrist and looked at her watch. Xiaoling, Fei, I have to leave first. I have to catch a flight tonight. We will make an appointment again when we have the opportunity. Xiaoling knew that he had a tight schedule and nodded. Bai Murong took Luoluo's arm and said goodbye to them. The box became quiet, and Xiaoling said to Ye Xingfei, are you hungry? I'll take you to eat and then send you back to the ward. You take good care of yourself and I'll come see you again after a while. Ye Xingfei was still immersed in the meeting with her idol just now, and nodded absently. Xiaoling dressed very low-key today, wearing an ordinary long t-shirt, jeans, sunglasses, and a peaked cap. She took Ye Xingfei out of the coffee shop and walked through this large commercial center. This commercial center was very high-end and expensive. There were not many people coming and going, but all the men, women, old and young were well dressed. Ye Xingfei noticed the difference between herself and the people nearby. She took a peek at Xiaoling and found that even the long t-shirt on Xiaoling, she accidentally glanced at the logo on it and compared it with the price in the same brand store she passed by. It was outrageous and shocked her. She found that she was probably the cheapest of all the people. She lowered her head, looking a little gloomy. Xiaoling asked, what's wrong? Sister. Ye Xingfei thought for a while and said, I also want to be a big star. Once you become a big star, you will be able to have many, many beautiful clothes. Well, Xiaoling thought it was just a little girl's dream and smiled, you have a good talent. You were admitted to the Tianyi training camp. Once you are in good health, I will tell the people over there to let you restore your academic status. If you want to be a big star, train hard there and you can make your debut. How many years have it been? Ye Xingfei said anxiously, sister, you are so famous now, can't you let me make my debut directly? You know that I am good at singing and dancing. What else do you need to practice? Xiaoling stopped and looked at her, and said sincerely, Fei, basic skills are not something that happens overnight. Don't rush to become famous. There is a price to pay for becoming famous. Your singing and dancing are good, but it is not enough. Believe it or not, Luoluo just said Luo can compete with you. You need to lay a good foundation. Ye Xingfei bit her lip, not convinced. Luoluo is just a second-tier star, how can she be compared to her? She sings and dances better than her sister, so she can definitely be a queen. Why does her sister throw cold water on her? Xiaoling didn't realize what she was thinking, so she took her to dinner and sent her back. The phone rang and Xiaoling picked it up. Hello, Lilei. You had time to go and play with Bai Murong and Luoluo today, but you didn't even know to come to me. Mr. Boss was not sure how jealous he was, and his voice was a little aggrieved. Xiaoling couldn't laugh or cry, I took my sister to see an idol. Who said you are not her idol? The boss on the other end of the phone ground his teeth and said, I don't care. Anyway, come to my place at night. What's the matter? Xiaoling asked. You will know when you come. Morning, good morning, Next update will be in the evening. End of this chapter.